first, which, I mean, that does explain why they're so good.
Yeah, and I mean it takes a lot. I mean, that's the cut above the rest, right? Bottom line. Like, you're gonna have two players who are good at the game, fantastic, but if one plays all three races or can random, they're probably gonna be a little bit better than the rest. But back it over Babysky, going for somewhat of a normal opening. He's building command center on the high ground this time, worth noting. So I don't know if he's a little bit scared, a little bit concerned. I do like that he didn't overinvest in Reapers. I think Reapers are very good and an important thing to have in TVZ, but this is a horrible map for Reapers, quite frankly.
It is. Only 2 positions to jump up on, and they were obvious. Speed done. It was a pull first, by the way. That's why we see the command center on the high ground, in case Blord decided to make 10 lings, or even just these 4, honestly, to try and cancel the command center on the low ground. That would have been the case. So just make it on top, lose that amount of time. Don't lower your supply depots. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, that was a bit of a panic moment, I think, where you press the button, you're mashing it to make sure that like they're up in time, and you realize, oops, I pressed it too many times.
Another 2-base lair. Man, the fast mutas really didn't do a whole lot for him. It was the other things in that game that got him to win it.
Yeah, again, like the composition was so weird, but it just ended up working through brute force, which, again, in StarCraft2, sometimes just numbers of units are going to matter the most. Like, you don't need that perfect composition. Like, for example, Hellbats counter Zerglings, but if you've got 500 Zerglings, the Zerglings are going to win that fight every time.
I think they're going to go along the lines of, like, you know, the people who say that just macro well and you can meet masters and stuff like that. As long as you have 100 Marines, it doesn't matter if you can split well.
I remember being told that, actually, a long time ago when I first started playing.
Some guy proved it. He literally went from being, well, I mean, I guess he was already Masters, but still, he went from Bronze to Masters without splitting or anything. Oh, that is so dirty!
The faster layer pays off! Now, guys, actually, I did, like, a science video on this, right? Actually, hang on. We'll talk about the creep in a moment, because right now we got some Hellions trying to get through the enemy's lines, but fighting within the range of both the Queen and the Spine Car cost him quite a few of his Hellions. I think if he had just darted up the ramp right away, he would have been able to shell at those Zerglings a lot more efficiently and not taking so many losses on his Hellions already. But still even going to manage to get a drone killer or 2 out here. Not too bad, but these will get cleaned up, make no mistake.
I still don't like his decision to do that. I really don't like both times. Yeah, okay, it's a good scout, but it's so many Hellions.
So a fully spread creep like this...
so mean! Wow. He took out the Marine.
Yeah, so now he took back to creeping. It's seriously like about 43 to 53 in-game seconds, guys, for this to fully reseed after you clean it up. So like you kill the Overlord, the creep stops like spawning brand new. It's going to be about 40 in-game seconds-ish until you can drop the command center. So I mean, right now, even if Blord loses this Overlord, wow, is there still aggression? There's the Banshee over here now. Even if he loses that Overlord, it's still going to be about another minute before our Terran player can expand. And quite frankly, this sucks because he's on 31 workers. He needs to start saturating another base.
And that other 3rd base is going to be pooped on anyway, so that's going to take a while.
Oh man, yeah, because sometimes you can just skip it and say, alright, I'll just float over to the other base. I'm Terran.
Nope. Nope. So this is a huge problem. This is not one we usually see. I mean, even when you do make it on the high ground, you still have your command center by what, like 7 minutes? And it's 9 minutes now.
It's kind of a cool move when you think about it, though, objectively, because again, Terran players don't go for these earlier Marines. They don't have a lot of anti-air usually. It's Hellions and it's Banshees, and what's going to stop that command center? And this is a large part, like, there's not a lot of advantages of building on the low ground, but this is one of them.
It's true. It's just, it's funny, but it is certainly a big problem. That Banshee ran into the Widow Mine.
I was kind of worried about the second Banshee running into the Widow Mine, quite frankly. Oh my god, that health. Going back home right away. There's Mutalisks already coming out, though, guys. And this is going to be a bit of a problem. Because, again, with this command strike taking so long to land, we don't exactly have 5 factories pumping out Thors. No, it's 1, barely, and a couple of turrets in the main.
And again, not covering the entirety of his base. I mean, okay. Technically they are, but you kill 1 missile turret and you're free to roam around everything in the ASD line. And he also, oh, whoa, did this actually kill stuff?
Yeah, the 2 Widow Mines.
I thought that was going to be free, because he knew it was there, because it killed the Overlords. I thought that was going to be a free pick-off for his mutas.
Yeah, no, unfortunately a couple of Mutalisks were picked off for free, ironically enough, but finally has his base up. Now, this kind of sucks too, because guys, while the command center was hovering in the air, it wasn't building any SCVs. So this was like a huge loss of time for Babysky.
Yeah. Luckily, though, Blord going for this 2-base lair and not really being the fastest on the hatchery is only at 36 drones himself. So oddly enough, Babysky is ahead not only in SCVs, but just like really ahead in economy because you got to take into account those mules.
I don't really. Last time we saw Blord like absolutely waste his Mutalisks. I kind of hope that's not the case this time. We do have an infestation pit on the way, and I don't think it's going to be with the Vipers this time, guys. This is a really fantastic map for swarm hosts.
This seems to be around the same time and on the same amount of hatcheries. I would say that it is for the exact same thing.
If he goes for a hive off 2 bases, I don't know. I just don't think he's got the money to.
That's what he did, that's what he did last time. He did like his 3rd base was like 99% done, and he had the hive going, and I was like, that's not enough.
Well, you know what? You could be right, and I only say this because Blord's playing with strategies that are definitely not standard timings that aren't normal.
Not the standard way to go.
It's kind of funny though, like going into Copa America. It is gonna be for the faster hive. Okay, so I was really hoping. Like, truthfully, I think a lot of that wasn't like trying to read what he was doing, but more like hoping that he would make the right decision. Because I do think swarm hosts on this map, especially against a meching player, are fantastic. Now, a lot of people actually, you hear casters talk about this a lot, and I had a friend ask me, you mention all the time, like, this map's good for swarm hosts, this map isn't, like, what does that mean? Quite frankly, the reason you're going to hear people talk about Habitation Station being so awesome for a swarm host is twofold. One, you could set them just about at any point in the map, and they could reach all of your opponent's bases. Two, the essence of free units. There's no uphill on this to take the advantage of. It's all flat in the middle of the map. So those swarm hosts are going to be even more effective than normal, or rather the Locust will be. But okay, coming across the map. I don't know, again, it's this really awkwardly small push out of Babysky that will probably kill the 3rd, but will fall in the end to the Mutalisks.
Well, here's the thing. There was points constantly in like these stages of last game where I thought Babysky could definitely take on Blord's army, just add in a few more Vikings and 1 more Thor, and I really think he can do it. I mean, constantly Blord is afraid to attack into this. He willingly loses the 3rd as opposed to attacking this. So I'm so surprised constantly that Babysky doesn't try and push forward a little more. Well, it's still going to be taken care of.
Bailey's actually pretty effective against the Hellbats. But the Mutas were not quite spread enough, so we did see them take quite a bit of splash damage. But he should be able to clean this up. As again, it's just that very awkward amount.
Takes so much damage from this. Yeah, it's always this awkward amount where, okay, Babysky's army did get taken, like, it died, but it killed a 3rd, and it took so much down with it, because look at the supply. A mech player shouldn't be 30 supply ahead when really nothing has really happened until that point.
That is true.
And he's going for Viper. There's nothing to give your Vipers to... It works out because, again, mech takes so long to push it anyways that he can make up for these things. But, God, I feel like if this was someone with a killer instinct, a mech player with a killer instinct, they'd just be all over killing him right now.
Well, trying to get his 3rd back up for the time being. This is one of those situations where you'd kind of like to see a double expand. I mean, he's got the money for it, but instead I think he's saving up for Ultras again. And well, he did work last time. Again, I almost want to say I don't understand why. Because, again, he's going for these Ultras fast, which means they've got no upgrades on them. Which means a meching player who didn't push the way he did, didn't lose his Thors the way he did maybe, I don't know, like, you just need a small amount of units to deal with upgrade-less Ultralisks.
Yeah, I think what his plan is, and this is usually seen versus Bio, I'd say more often, is a surprise factor. Getting fast Ultralisk when the person doesn't see it coming can be deadly, but I wouldn't really say it's that deadly against a mech player unless you were like producing 15 at a time, like a really big surprise.
You know, actually, what I would have loved to have seen, Banshees in this scenario. The ones that died earlier, if they'd been alive. There's one right now, which is great, but these Ultras have no armor upgrades. Banshees are like the highest DPS freaking things in the universe sometimes, and if the Ultras can't hit them back, they're just going to rain from hell from above.
Yeah. Babysky pushing out with this odd number of army again.
It's so weird watching Overseers take no damage from Thors. Like, I know they're armored units, and that's why, but it's like, one volley almost kills a whole flock of Mutalisks. One volley tickles an Overseer. And his Blinding Clouds are thrown down, but the Hellbats deal with the Zerglings right away, and these Thors are doing a lot of damage to the Ultras. The only problem is the tank cannot fight. But Banshee from above, if it can survive the Mutalisks, it's actually going to focus on the hatchery? What? Kill the Ultralisk.
Oh, well. Oh, well. Babysky he pushes out in both games. He pushes out once at like 112 or something like that, and the second time at 150. Usually what we see is 150 and then maxed out That 120 push that he did works. It kills a base, it takes down a lot with it. If he could only wait until he was maxed out for this push, I think he just like wins, especially with any type of good positioning against an ultra spaced army.
Well, the other thing too is like he's got to be aware at this point his opponent loves blinding clouds. See, I would almost say don't siege the tanks. Like wait for the blinding clouds to come in and just move out. Because his tanks are just being absolutely useless in these engagements.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that Babysky is ahead in supply. So while Blord has, you know, kind of scary units in the way of Ultralisk, there wouldn't be enough of them, I feel, if Babysky was maxed out. Look
at the actual unit count, though, for Blord. I mean, it's 3 Ultras, 1 Mutalisk, 16 Lings.
But coming in here, well, this is just a rally mistake. This wasn't intentional. But like coming in with the ragtag group of units that he always does is now working out for him, and that's what we saw last game. Blord come back into it. Now he still isn't as good as last game. He doesn't have those 2 other bases that he managed to get up. He's only going on the 4th one right now. But yeah.
Okay, well, this Overlord is gooping up this base. Can't really afford to go kill it, but it could send the Viking off, I guess. He does try and secure gold towards the north, so Babysky make it a planetary, perhaps? He didn't make this into an orbital before flying, and I don't know anyone who floats over and then makes an orbital.
Oh.
Well, what's a little concern? I mean, like, okay, right now he's putting down the extra command centers, right? He's getting starports on the way. Babysky's looking to go for that air composition. The problem is, you can't go straight to Sky Terran if there's already Ultralisks available. The reason this doesn't work is because even battlecruisers combined with Banshees, they take forever to kill Ultras once they've got upgrades, and upgrades are finally starting to come out a little bit here. Granted, there's still no... Actually, I take that back. What? That's air carapace I was looking at. There's no chitinous plating. There's no melee carapace or anything like that. He's got... These Ultras are about as squishy as they get. Can you imagine, oh my god, being bio against upgrade less Ultras? How good of a time you're gonna have?
You know why Babysky keep pushing out at odd times, seemingly? It's probably because he also thinks, like, what we're thinking, like, what the, so little Ultralisk? Like, I can take care of this, no problem. And he's always pushing out just, like, just not enough. He's finally maxed out now, though, so now would be a perfect time to engage. You know, actually engage to, like, slow it down. It seems like he's never really had the opportunity to siege up and start sniping off the Vipers. It's always been like him walking into the army and getting blinded cloud.
Right, and I think this is, again, as we get later in, like, I kind of want this to work, but I feel like this composition is just not what you want to have versus a mech army like this. Like, there's got to be at least some essence of swarm hosts, not to, like, necessarily be what carries you through the game, but even 3 or 4. Just to constantly throw free units into your opponent's waves so they can't come at you for free. Maybe you throw it towards another base and assault it that way, whatever the case may be. But pure Ultralisk, guys, you've heard every commentator say it at some point. And that's when Ultras have a hell of a lot of upgrades associated with them that they throw the game. It's not going to be much different when they have no upgrades whatsoever.
This is half of his army.
Yeah, the other half's still over here. Actually, the Ultra's getting quite a bit of damage done because, as you pointed out, segmented armies, but more blinding clouds coming down. Sequence is going off on the Ultras. Oh my god.
This work when I swear to God, this would not work on anyone else.
Right?
As a mech player, you're supposed to be able to, like... First of all, I don't know why he pulled back in the first place. He was pulling back to do something, I don't know what it was. He had a perfect opportunity to find a ledge to siege up on and start actually, like, controlling his units correctly. Sieging up, hopping around,
spreading the tanks. Can we talk about that for a second? Like, yeah. Spread the tanks a little bit, but...
Spreading your army in general, and also sniping the Vipers with Vikings. He never gets that opportunity. He always just runs his army into blinding clouds and Ultralisks.
Oh, it's so frustrating to watch, guys, because, like, I mean, objectively, taken away from this for a moment, like, this is a situation where Zombie Grandpa and I look at this, and it's a fight that Babysky should so clearly win in such a big way. And it's not, again, like, this sounds a little BM to phrase it like this, so it's not meant to be BM, but, like, it's not really the skill of Blord that's carrying him through this. It's more like the missteps of Babysky that are allowing Blord to take these fights. And because he already cleared out the mech army once, the #1 most difficult thing for any mech player is, like, remaxing. You'll do it, but not very fast.
Yeah. And again, it comes back down to Blord is allowed to make up for, you know, whatever mistakes there were. He was down by, what, 40 supply at one point in this game against a mech player? That is usually death. And he was also down 40 supply in that engagement, and he still comes back.
He's going for level 1 carapace, but, like, why not research chitinous plating? You've invested into so many Ultralisks at this point. It's gonna give you more upgrades than +1 armor would. And
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
He actually is supply blocked soon. He needs more overlords, oddly enough. When do you see a Zerg player 25 minutes in the game that requires more overlords?
Yeah, usually at this point they've already made like 10.
Right, so again, like, this is us not trying to be overly critical, guys, but it's weird. I've never seen a Zerg player play like this, but more so make it work. To me, this is, I feel like a custom map.
And that is why Babysky is probably the mistakes that he is. He probably thinks, wow, I can take this game. No one ever played like this before. This is going to be easy, and then he runs in a blinding cloud. So that kind of makes up for his, his decisions. But Blord, this isn't going to carry over well into. Honestly, if he goes into the group stages, if he wins right here, he gets, he goes into the group stages. I don't know if it's really going to carry over well against someone like Major.
Well, the other thing too is, like, I don't like this idea of going for mass Ravens right now. Ravens have their place in TVZ, but not against Ultralisks. This is like literally the only time, or actually rather the only time you don't want to go for a lot of Seeker missiles. Everything here is going to outrun it. The Ultralisks have got so much health. It takes like 5 Seekers to kill an Ultralisk. I mean, it's...
Well, here's what's going to happen now, is that they both gotten into a position, even despite all the trades that happened earlier, in which is going to be split map. It is split map right now. So he is eventually going to get the Raven composition, and it's not going to be so much
the
for
Watchtower! God.
Getting the Seeker missiles, but just for like getting the point defense drones down and getting the auto turrets down.
Okay, so Seeker missiles are going to come down, but these Ravens are surely going to die to the Corruptors. A bit of splash damage goes off, but again, the army is so segmented away from itself that even these split tanks can't really do much. There's no reason that the Vipers should be able to dive as deep as they have been. That's what makes this so ridiculous. Like, the Blinding Clouds are absolutely what's giving Blord this very heavy advantage in these fights, but a Terran player who's got like 6 Vikings, they shouldn't be able to put 5 Blinding Clouds down 40 feet away.
Well, they shouldn't be able to put them down again. They should die. At the very least, Vikings did you the trade, and they've still been putting down Blinding Clouds.
Well, our Terran player is on 3-2 to, well, finally getting his plating upgrade. So it's kind of like 3-3 Ultras, I guess. But I think Babysky starting to bleed out a little too much here.
He still has all his mining bases, and he isn't quite on top of the production yet, so Babysky will be able to recover. But with 6 more Ultras on the way, he just needs to attack again.
I kind of feel like flooding links to the south would win the game. These aren't planetaries, these are just orbitals.
Yeah, that is... Terran players, I don't know what it is that we think, but we're like, well, maybe, just maybe, he'll assume they're planetaries, so he won't attack them.
Maybe I'll get away with this. I mean, he went for the building armor upgrade, which I really like, actually, but, what is it helping? Alright, a couple siege tanks on the high ground might be able to snipe off a shot or two, but quite frankly, abducts are probably in order, if not a blinding cloud. And here come the Banshees. But the command center was not lifted. Ugh.
That's one thing about orbital command too. In fact, I think some people do intentionally go to orbital commands against Ultras only armies so they can lift it.
Well, I think another thing too is we finally have Blord actually maxed out. Can we talk about that for a second? Can we like real talk about who's actually maxed?
Are we gonna see Blord get Blords?
That's a Rifkin joke. What are you doing?
There's so many Vipers. Wow.
Yeah, this is actually a bit weird because we're so used to seeing like maybe 3, right, or 4, not 6. This is, I almost feel, way too much. But again, the blinding clouds have really been carrying him through this game, quite frankly, more than they should have been. What is this Ultralist doing, by the way? Holy crap! It's freaking hell out.
What it is that he's just assumes that he's gonna lose the Vipers, so he keeps making like 1 or 2 more after every engagement, and he's like, oh, they came back.
Alright, well, look at him move across the map. I kind of feel this is the death stroke. Babysky has had like 12 minutes to remax, and he hasn't been able to. This is the problem. This is like a big, big problem. Banlings rolling in look silly and trolly, guys, but these are going to clear out everything, because the Ultras will take the tank shots. The Ultras will soak up the Seeker missiles. No one's going to Seeker missile a Banling.
Oh, the Banelings. Some of the Banelings go off just to the gold base to take care of it.
Oof.
And they will destroy whatever...
What 3 things were there.
Yeah.
I like the Banshee count, but it's too late at this point. They're going to do a ton of damage before going down, but the Corruptors will eventually kill them. Although they are doing a lot to these Ultras. Again, you can never underestimate the damage of Banshees. If he could have killed that last Overseer.
Oh, no Overseer? No, it is Overseer.
Yeah, there's one with like 4 HP, 9 HP. If he had killed that, the Banshees would have cleaned up the Ultras 100%. but round
might
2 is
still
not going to be
get it.
enough.
Yeah, and the Remax is still pretty good for Blord.
Yeah, no, he's already pretty much maxed out. Babysky's still just bleeding out right now. His bank is... This is what kills me, too. His bank's fantastic, but he doesn't have any production to utilize it fully. He will clear up the last couple ultras, though. God, gosh darn it. Like...
He holds again.
Now, he did keep
so
the gold
odd.
base, which is worth noting, but what is going on right here?
Ugh. He really wants to turn into a gas geyser.
I want that gas so bad right now! Come on, give it to me, give it to me!
Babysky is still producing Thors, which is kind of odd to see. At this point, you would expect nothing but tanks, because there's no
I mean,
Mutalisk.
it should, yeah, exactly, should be the case. Thors are not going to do too well against the Corruptors. He could transform them for that little bit of range and slight damage bonus versus the Vipers, but again, he's not exactly been focused on the Vipers with the Vikings. I wouldn't expect him to do it with the Thors.
Right? So after a certain point, if you're not taking care of the Vipers either way, you may as well make the Corruptor count absolutely useless and really take care of the ground army more. I mean, Thors aren't necessarily really bad to have against Ultralisk, but just like not main Thor. You know, put some more tanks in there.
Well, Blinding Cloud's going down to cover the army. Poor Babysky. I really feel like he's gonna hold again, but it's kind of like one of those like to what avail things, right? Like he's resources lost right now, guys. It's just.
You mean to what cost?
At what cost does he hold? Base trade people, I want to see those emotes. But yeah, it's, I don't know. The resources lost looks similar to that as if Swarm Hosts were in play, but it's somehow trading out Ultralisks all game, trading out Banelings all game. And what's kind of sad to see is like there's such a heavy investment in Corruptors that if he just focused on ground units and nothing else, all of a sudden, this is how much, if that's just like what, 2 supply? There's this many Corruptors in play? I mean, I don't want to do math on stream, guys, but the bottom line is, it's a very small army on the ground compared to the fact that if he would just cut out all air production, focus primarily on tanks and Hellbats, because again, there's no Mutalisks, there's no Broodlords, there's nothing for him to worry about. He could just destroy the ground army and walk underneath the Corruptors and walk underneath the Vipers.
Yeah. What's funny about this game, too, is that we are so used to seeing Swarm Host Muta, or at the very least Roach Hydra into Swarm Host or Muta. We usually see this map turn into a split scenario where the Terran is never going to win because the Swarm Hosts are free, or the Locusts are free, rather. The Locusts are free, so while like they're trading, the Zerg really isn't. But the Zerg is still trading in this situation, so maybe if Babysky keeps surviving somehow, he starves out his opponent as well?
It's so horrible watching this, because, okay, to explain why the Ultras are even dying, guys, is because there's no support for them on the ground. Like, there's no flood of Infestors or Zerglings or anything. He's, in fact, turned every Zergling in this game, like, into Banelings. If you would just keep them back until the Ultras wipe out the Hellbats, send those in, every Thor dies. 100%.
Yeah. He's starting to back up now with some Lings. I think there was a few moments where he had, like, 30 Lings or something like that, but they get down to the Hellbats, but they're definitely necessary for just, like, fodder.
Well, the only damage in this army composition is 2 Ultralists. Again, this is what makes this so infuriating to watch.
Oh, good control. So that's one thing. Blord has really good control on his Corruptors and like splitting them off. He did that a couple of times. They're pretty good.
As you see, the Ultras start to go down, but the Thors, while they hit really hard, they don't have the rate of fire to deal with Zerglings.
They're taking care of the Vipers. There's only 2 Vipers left.
This is... I don't know, man. Like, I'm
telling you, man. Like, if Babysky keeps on winning these, he's trading out. Even still, we're so used to not seeing a Zerg player lose any money. But look at the bank for both players.
Well, more importantly, look at the resources lost. This has gone from being like 20,000 difference to barely 5.
Yeah, I mean, we really shouldn't count Babysky out of it yet. Even though I think he had like a huge window to win this game in like the first 15 minutes. He seemed like he was about to lose it at one point too. He's like not. He's not dying. He's dying, but he's not dying.
How can you kill that which has no life? Alright, well, this base is going to go down, and... Well, here come the Ultras, and more importantly, here come the Blinding Clouds, and there go the Ravens as the Corruptors get on top of this.
Well, there's no Blinding Clouds. This is the first time in engagement we haven't seen any Blinding Clouds.
There we go.
And yet, somehow, he does better than he ever did with Blinding Clouds.
Right. He lost the base, but the bank actually is... kind of small, because again, all these units that are Zerg players quote-unquote trading out are the most expensive ones he could make. Banelings, Ultralisks, you name it. But the ACV's being pulled in a feat of panic. Oh god, look at those corpses go flying.
Yeah, they go up the ramp, but no one remembers that there's a secret hallway that they could run to, too.
Oh yeah, around the backside. Yeah. You know, another
secret missiles could do nothing. Never mind.
I was gonna say, you know what would be really critical here? Like, speaking objectively for anyone who wants to mimic Babysky's style, guys, one thing you could have been doing with this massive mineral bank, instead of making Hellbats or Hellions, throw down like 100 turrets. I'm not even kidding. It'll SimCity out the Ultralisks. It'll kill the Corruptors. It'll make it so you can invest in just tanks without the worry of Mutalisks coming, swapping, and destroying you. But instead, he's got 5k minerals kicking right now. And again, Baby Knight looks to be on his last legs. Finally taps out. GG is called. And it looks like Blord will take the series 2-0. And he will qualify for Season 3 of Copa America, but he's got one more best of 3 to play today before he's completely done.